So I came across an article yesterday, and this is something that's been reported for a while, but I just now saw this, and I haven't seen this anywhere else, so I want to make a video on this. There was in 2023, during the Super Bowl, this was February in 2023, 500 terabytes of data that was collected from the Epstein investigation was supposedly hacked. Like the FBI was hacked, and 500 terabytes of data just disappeared. It was erased from this hack. Now, typically hackers are, obviously it's a crime to hack, into a person's computer. However, a lot of times they're ethical. Most of the time hackers, they'll try to hack into something like that to try to get the information in order to preserve it for future investigations or something like that. Let me just say this. I believe, and I'm no legal expert, but I believe if they were to do something like that, then it would be fruit from a poison tree, because now you're gathering the evidence illegally, right? But anyway, that aside, typically hackers tend to be somewhat ethical. But I use the term ethical loosely here. But allegedly, the FBI was hacked, and the 500 terabytes of data just was erased, just disappeared, right? Obviously, it was scrubbed, right? It was one of several scrubbings that I believe happened. I believed it happened under Trump the first time. I believe it happened before that. During the 2000s, back when Epstein was arrested the first time. I believe that it's happened again recently, and obviously under Biden, it happened during that time as well. The elites, because there's so many of them, the list was so big, and the list, by the way, is a lot bigger than what is publicly mentioned. What was publicly mentioned is whatever they had to release, because it was already public. There are a lot of names on the actual list. When I mean the actual list, the list that has not been released to the public, okay? The list is a lot bigger, and the crimes are a lot worse than people think. I should say people as in what is publicly known. In other words, what has been reported. It's a lot worse than has been reported officially. Much worse. But, they do this thing, the FBI said, we lost 500 terabytes, and we were hacked, we lost the data, oops, like they didn't have backups. Darn well they had backups, because this was a blackmail operation. And when you preserve a case this big, you have backups, right? So, and they wouldn't be plugged into the internet either. You would assume government agencies, they have Ethernets, right? They're not open to the internet for this very reason. They don't need to be hacked. So this is absurd. This is in your face. This is, they're laughing at you. It's like they're saying that you're stupid for the purpose of gaslighting you. So we're not going to really know, unfortunately, to the fullest extent of specific individuals and specific crimes. We can imagine very well what happened. But again, this is a blackmail operation. There was a lot of people on this list. It was well known that you couldn't get to the upper echelons of the system unless you were open to being blackmailed, because that's how it worked. And this implicates the CIA, and implicates the Mossad and MI6, and probably other governments as well. So to fully expose this operation would expose the entire system, okay? So that's the reason why we are getting what we are getting. I highly doubt that this will actually see justice from this. So it's really unfortunate, but anyway, with all that said, I will post a link in the description below so you can read the article. So I'm not making this stuff up.